Well, the issues in River State is definitely concerning for so many people because in the middle of mayhem, in the middle of all kinds of unrest, there's definitely going to be some drama with prices. Whether or not what the political situation in River State is affecting the pump price of fuel, I guess, the people in Port Harcourt will be able to tell us specifically. But it's not just in Port Harcourt or in River State that all of that is happening. The pump price and even prices generally are fluctuating of various things all over the nation. How do these affect not just businesses, Markway, but how do they also affect the livelihoods of people? In the build-up to this holiday, for instance, people went to the markets. What were the market prices saying of basic items, of, eggs, of even minor luxuries just for the season? Well, let's have conversations this morning with Professor Godwin Oyedokun, who is a professor of Accounting and Financial Development at Leeds City University in Ibadan. He's a chartered accountant, a chartered banker, and a chartered tax practitioner. And I'm sure you can take all of our questions this morning.
Thank you, and good morning, my people, and thank you for having me.
Barka de Salah to you.
Barka de Salah.
Yeah, pump price has begun what many economists have said will start. Will rise, will fall, depending on the vagaries of the market. Is there cause for concern for Nigerians?
No, naturally, there must be cause for concern. And because we all rely on some sort of energy, and that propels a lot of businesses, even non-business activities. Our commuting, basic need in the house, all premise on energy, and that which is fuel. You recall when we used to talk about AGO, it's no longer the diesel, it's no longer the issue as it affects the issue of petrol, which is PMS. So you expect that if there is any activities that affect the prices of this, the price of this commodity, definitely it will cascade down to every minute activities of the organization. And most of the organizations still operate within PMS fueled generating set because of the issue we have around our electricity. I am not sure Nigerians are enjoying basic electricity that's supposed to come from that source. So the alternative to that, as we have it today, is PMS. So if PMS is now a source of concern that's affecting everybody, you understand and you will also agree with me that every bit of activities in the economy will be affected by same. And if I may press further, if the source of your production is within this country and you must operate 24 hours, then you need power.
Now, there are those who have said, maybe perhaps by way of pressing further, just as you said, there are those who would say, don't we have an over-exaggerated energy source called PMS? The argument in those minds is kerosene has been deregulated for a very long time. Diesel also deregulated for a very long time. There are quite a number of organizations that use diesel to power their operations, both in manufacturing, even in banks and all of that. So, but PMS has been for a very long time like some kind of cog, like a bottleneck that's been difficult to circumvent. So what would you say to those who think we're giving too much unnecessary attention to PMS?
Okay, so I think they may be right in their own right, because when I was very young, I'm still young, I recall that some of us owe kerosene, and it was what people must have at that time. For the first time, after so many, less 25 years, I decided to be on ground. You know this thing we call in Yoruba land, Eran Odun, that I always do every year. And I decided to roll out with my siblings. So, okay, let's go and get this ram. And I discovered that we actually needed to use kerosene. Do you know that within my vicinity, like almost, I don't know the radius, we couldn't get kerosene. And because I am a researcher, I started thinking, what happened? This same community I hawked so many, like 40 years ago, I hawked kerosene in this area. But I just realized that evolution has taken over and it has replaced the use of kerosene because of the alternative. Now, everyone around that, whether you are poor or not, now change to other alternatives like charcoal. And basically, generally, people now use gas, no matter how costly it were. So it was difficult to look for kerosene. And at the end of the day, the demand for kerosene was so low, then if anything happened to the price, nobody bothered. And you don't forget that the common principle of economics is that forces of demand and supply will determine the price. Even when there are supply and nobody needs it, the price will be there to the barest minimum. So if AGO, diesel, is used by certain set of people in the economy, and they are not as much as number we have for PMS, you will see that there will not be much noise about that. Organization of your status may wish to use AGO for powering their generating set. But the like of my house, I don't have that capacity to capacitate the use for AGO. So I will still use generating set that is fueled by. And now, whether we like it or yes, people are now moving to solar. The initial cost may be, but the rest of mind that you have over time, so it's reducing fuel consumption to some barest minimum for certain level of a citizen. So that's why you don't have alternative for PMS as much as you have for kerosene and diesel.
Well, we've spoken about the effect on livelihoods to a limited extent. But let's talk about, just for 1 minute before I go to Abuja with Mawpe, about the effect of these price fluctuations on young people. You saw the video, as everyone did recently, of a young lady who was, complaining, and which informed what they call the 30-day rant challenge. And everyone was talking about their experiences in almost every part of the country. And I know that, you would also be aware as a researcher that it's about the same thing in various parts of the world. But speaking to our country specifically, given the price fluctuations and the things that are happening in various sectors of the country, what should we be telling young people who are transiting from being dependent to being independent?
There's this saying adulthood na scam. We never knew this until we also crossed it at a point in time. I think youthful exuberance need to be taught everywhere that, see, you must transit. And those things that you carry in your brain as things that can come freely will no longer be there. You'll be left alone, so to say, to face the life. And you just need to be careful. You just need to be yourself and ensure that you do not look for quick way of getting it, because you still go back to square one if there's anything called square one. Okay? So it's the reality. Those people that you are saying they should give you 5,000 or 2,000, now you'll be expected to also give. Will you be able to do that? And will you be able to do it with confines of legality, so that you don't cross to the other side of the world, which is criminal in nature, that can also land you in another trouble, that can take larger part of your livelihood. So our upcoming people need to take it easy and also learn from some of us. We pass through this and we rose from there, and we get to where we are today.
Absolutely.
So that's my advice for them.
Mawpe?
Well, Prof, really that particular question which I asked you also tugged at my heart in terms of, when you look at the transition a lot of young people have had to make over the years, when you look at graduates and what their trajectory has been over the years, you do know that this particular season is particularly even more difficult because, yes, we know that transition is not easy, but I still remember people in generations maybe above yours, telling us of how when they came out from school, they were guaranteed jobs. Their jobs could at least afford, over time, maybe with the loan, they could afford a decent car, they could afford a decent flat, even if it was a mini flat or a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom. these days, many young people come out and their take home is, that is when they do get jobs, are barely able to take them back and forth, cannot even cater to their transport. So do you think that, a lot of things are depreciating by the day? When you look at a lot of, and this is used advisedly, graduates, for instance, who have just recently finished school, and you look at the trajectory over the years, say from the 70s to where we currently are at in 2025, what do you think has really gone wrong?
Thank you, Mark. I think everything is wrong, and I don't want to be a prophet of doom. I remember when I was also very young, my father used to complain of previous activities of nation. So, and I was telling some of my siblings yesterday that those days, since the day of John the Baptist, we've been having this kind of issue. So I'm not sure after now, next generation will still not complain that this present day that we have today, 2025, is not better. I just pray that something significantly happen to us in Nigeria. If in early 70, our parents complain of that our previous government were better than this, and now we are also saying, in fact, some people are even saying I don't want to mention the government, that the government they chase out is even more better. I don't want to say that's how we'll continue to say it. But in the midst of it, Markwe, you will also agree with me that some people are also trying to live normal life without being criminal about it. We just need to talk to ourselves that in the midst of complexity, we need to get ourselves together, operate within that. Is what you buy that you will sell with premium. So what economy push to you, take it, repackage it, add your value, and move on. It will continue to be like that. When I served, I remember I was one of those people that fought for increment. I never enjoyed it, and that's how it is. So also, the take home for everybody, I don't want to come to public TV and be telling you that this is what salary of people are. And when you see people live above that, then you need to check them discreetly, and you understand that the economic is not what you think it should be. However, we cannot take laws into our hands. We still need to behave ourselves within the confines of the what we have. So the advice to our upcoming one, like I said the other time, is for them to just ensure that they understand the basis of living, and that the living is a good choice than to take your personal life or go into the criminality. So, Markwe, that's what I have to say to our people.
Indeed. Well, Prof, I must say that I missed a huge part of what you said at the beginning, and but I think I can make sense of it towards the end. Let me also ask you, because somehow inflation, we know it has run away with the wind, but we also know that for a number of people, income has been static, and it is people who earn incomes and have purchasing power that are able to support businesses, because businesses are hoping to sell to people. Isn't that correct? They're hoping that people will have enough money, especially for those who are dealing with non-essential items, that people will have enough left over to be able to indulge or to buy some of these things. Are you a little surprised at somehow how the trajectory that, I don't know what it is like where you're at, but in some quarters, when you look at how it is that businesses are adjusting, it just seems like we have been able to just absorb the shock and we're moving on. As an accountant, does that surprise you?
No, because I've been trained to expect complexity in the economy, and I've been able to insulate myself against a various shock. And this shock could affect anyone, and you must understand that there will be marital shock, financial shock, siblings shock, and even relative. So what we need to train ourselves is to be able to absorb any shock of variant that can come. Like you said about inflation, if the definition of inflation that we have in Nigeria is what they have all around the world, you will know that ours is peculiar, and our economic has defied all theories that we know, because those theories have been tested by those that are charged with governance of our economic activities in Nigeria, and it's not been able to show them the right way. So I think it's high time we now understand that we have our own ratchet effect theory in Nigeria, whereby if anything goes up, it's difficult for that thing to come back down again. So if you know and you have that at the back of your mind, what you would do within the economy that decided to continue to grow or go up in terms of inflation and things that are not normal is to also build yourself and your businesses around that. You don't go and misprice. You don't go and get into material things that will not propel, that will not enable your business to grow. And I'll give you another example. The input into your production process must be defined. Things that can be done away with, you need to do away with them so that you can still maintain a very good price without increasing your price unnecessarily because of your margin that must come on top of your cost price. So where you have redundancy in operation, you need to just do away with them. You are not there as a Father Christmas. You are there to produce goods, products for consumer. And the consumer that we're talking about must be able to get it because there will always be alternative to your product. So if you mispriced, if you miscost, if you misproduce, then you will be left in that market to pack off. And I think government is also doing certain things to ensure that we are not taxing poverty so that we don't tax debt, okay? We don't tax to debt. So all these must be looked into. If I must add, these days we need to also embrace technology in sort that we can embrace so that things that we call iterative activities, things that are repetitive in nature can be done by other things that will not put pressure on the finances of the organization. Marco, I think I should stop here for further question.
Maybe I should also stop, but I wanted to say this part where we always say, oh, you know, Nigerian economy tends to defy all of the economic theories that, you know, we know, etc. Whatever goes up doesn't come down, things like that. Do you think that we're really being truthful to ourselves in terms, when we look at the Nigerian economy, is it that it is really defying economic theories that we know, or that there are certain aspects of our economy which we do not take into consideration when we're talking about the Nigerian economy? Maybe because we're too embarrassed to do so, or maybe because it is difficult to measure.
I'm not going to agree with that because you cannot continue to use same method and you're not getting results and you continue to do that. And if you look at it over time, certain various governments have come with various known ways of controlling the economy, and it's not working. And if it's not working, then in your variable, in your model, there's one particular thing that is not being plugged into it, and that is our nature. So now, until you put our nature into your model, you will not get anywhere. I don't want to sound academical because, of course, before I get to academic, I've worked in various sets of economic as practitioner. But in academics, we still call something a model, which you must account for in order to ensure that if all things that you have taken into consideration will not suffice, that which will suffice. And I don't want to come here because and start telling you that we have not factored corruption into our model of Nigerian economy. We have not factored cultural affinity and our nature of covering ourselves, ethnicity, religiosity, our way of doing things. We have not factored it. Until you do that, we are going nowhere. And I don't think this is the purpose of this discussion today, but I just need to chip it in for you to know that if you are bringing all sort of balancing economic theory, it works where you have good data. It works in the claims where you have people that are sane in terms of respecting the rule of law. You have a country where your economic theory will not work because certain rule can come and people will want to respectfully
I think yeah, we're gradually getting into that realm, and we have to just look ourselves square in the face and tell ourselves the hard truth that we've been trying to dodge. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you've been able to provoke the kind of conversation that we hope you would.
Thank
Professor
you.
Godwin Oyedokun is Professor of Accounting and Financial Development at Leeds City University in Ibadan, Oyo State. He's a chartered accountant, a chartered banker, and a chartered tax practitioner. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.